I just smoked and instantly felt myself become a better person. Just like that.
How's it going? It is 4:20 somewhere, and we're going to get right into it. We have yet some more info on THC levels. This is a story we talked about on Wednesday, and now I'm still just kind of in that mindset, so I guess we're going to still talk about it. Wednesday's story was targeted towards Colorado, and Politico put out a story today that was targeted not just for Colorado. It also had Florida and Washington State that were two other states that were trying to create some sort of THC cap around concentrates mainly. So to be clear, there is one state, Vermont, that does already have caps. They have a 30% cap on flower and then a 60% cap on concentrates. I think it's a relatively new thing in Vermont, so it's hard to say how successful that really is. I mean, I'm sure it would take 10 years to actually create a study around the difference between marijuana in Vermont and other states, but we'll see. The industry themselves, they feel that if you are to cap THC levels, the people who are used to these higher concentrates, the 99% concentrated THC in vapes or things, they'll go back to illicit markets. And we all know about a couple years ago there was this big scare with illegal vaping that people were dying from smoking these vapes. So they are actually very dangerous to go into the illicit market. That's the industry's argument, that we shouldn't put any caps on because people will then get out of things that are more regulated and go back to places where things are quite dangerous. I put up the last video on Reddit and I got a couple comments from people. One comment was this guy said, hey, try to just use smaller doses and quit being dumbasses. Fair enough. But there was a response to that comment, which I found actually really interesting. So this is what somebody said to that. I feel like you've missed the point. The argument, as I understand it, was geared more towards children / people who are predisposed to psychosis when exposed to these higher doses. And while I don't think regulation is the exact answer to the problem, I am capable of understanding where the concern comes from. Maybe instead we can focus on education and some kind of standardization of concentration. Like instead of buying the beer equivalent of cannabis, people need to understand that they're buying the wine or even hard liquor variety, warning labels and all, which feels like a pretty good solution for me. At the end of the day, it is always about awareness as opposed to just regulations without explaining why. Just like all drugs and just like everything that is now considered very illicit and illegal, there should be a much bigger amount of awareness out there. I kind of like this guy, Acquid Nature's solution here. Specifically, Florida has been trying to create some sort of cap on THC for 3 years straight. And they haven't gotten there for a variety of reasons. They have a new piece of legislation that they've been trying to put through, and recently the governor has come out and said that he does not endorse the bill. So that's probably doomed. However, the state budget for next year has $4 million allocated to doing studies on higher concentrated THC levels. So that to me feels like a better place to go, which is putting money towards studies because they are rather thin, and everything that comes out does kind of point in the direction of higher THC levels being more dangerous for people who are prone to psychosis, but there aren't enough out there. So as long as we keep putting money towards that and driving the desire and the need for studies, I think that's kind of the way forward. And that could also be a nice middle ground for somebody like President Biden, who does not support legal marijuana yet. Seems open to something. There's obviously a huge hesitancy on his side, but if he were to say, I will not, support legalization, but I will support money going towards studies that show marijuana being a positive benefit for society, that could be a nice little middle ground. I don't know, that's just my 2 cents.
What's that one basic human concept that your brain just cannot wrap your head around?
That in order to fall asleep, you gotta pretend to sleep. You gotta just act like you're sleeping and then wait.
And in related but not really marijuana news, a bill has been introduced in Maine that would legalize psilocybin, which is kind of cool. However, it's specifically for psilocybin therapy. So you would be able to buy it, but you would have to kind of consume it with a practitioner, with a licensed practitioner, which is fine. That's I feel like that's probably the better bet anyway. So Maine has that. Oregon's voters have very famously voted to pass psilocybin legalization in November. Washington, D.C. has decriminalized, and California and Missouri are both also have bills that could potentially decriminalize or legalize psilocybin. So one more domino that is falling, and there seems to soon be an avalanche coming. And that's kind of it for this week. We'll see you next week, which will be May. So see you then.
It's Friday, baby. Fuck. Yeah, it's the weekend, baby. Fuck. Yeah, Friday, baby. Fuck. Fuck. The weekend, baby. Fuck.